What's up, everybody? Today's a special day. As promised, we are going to dive into all the footage that was cut from the Michael biopic. And not only all the footage that was cut from the Michael biopic, the movie that we got, but remember, they filmed 30% of the sequel already. Sequels! Potentially already. Check out this video. I talked about it. We might get a trilogy. So check out this video. I'll post it up here. But they have a lot of footage left on the table. They've cut out footage from the movie that we saw, and there's footage that was left on the table that they're going to be using for the sequel. Because if you remember, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that this movie was supposed to go post 1995. Due to legal reasons, let's just say that, due to legal reasons, they had to cut out the third act of the movie. I'll post a link up here again if you guys want to check out the full story. But let's start out with all the footage that was cut from the movie that we got, and then we'll dive into everything that they're saving for the sequel.
Michael's over here balling it up.
Thank you.
He looks so good here.
Yo, it's the wrong MJ, man.
Thanks, and open the door.
And open the door.
This is the Jacksons during the Triumph
I
era.
want the door open, right?
Yes, door open.
Balls and charts.
With the door open.
Door open.
And thank you.
Good. Here. Sure. Thank you.
Cut on that.
Yeah, he looks so good. He resembles Michael so much here. And if you don't believe me, here's a picture of Jaafar Jackson side by side with the picture of Michael Jackson from the same era. The body posture, everything. This dude nailed it. Though he nailed the performance. You guys have seen my review. Jaafar Jackson's performance blew me away. The amount of research he did, the amount of practice and rehearsal he did 2 years before filming. More than Graham King, more than Antoine Fuqua, I give credit to Jaafar Jackson because he took this performance to heart. He did not want to let his family down. He knew he was playing his own uncle. And then you add on top of that the Michael Jackson work ethic, the Jackson work ethic, which Jaafar clearly has. I mean, come on, he did fantastic. Now, let's move back in time from the Triumph era to Studio 54. Studio 54 was a nightclub back in the day. A lot of celebrities used to go. Michael Jackson used to like going, hanging out with his fellow celebrities. He loved to dance. He loved to be there. He liked the environment of Studio 54. And him and Diana Ross and a bunch of other people used to go there. So we have a few pictures from Studio 54 of Michael Jackson over there with Quincy Jones and a bunch of other people. These were cut from the movie. Everything that had to do with Diana Ross was cut from the movie. We talked about this in another previous video. I'll post it up here, but we'll briefly go over it real quick. Diana Ross was supposed to be in this movie. Kat Graham played Diana Ross. She was casted and everything. They filmed and all of that stuff. She was supposed to be in this movie. But again, due to legal reasons, all of her scenes were cut. So all of the scenes that were related to Diana Ross were cut. Right here in a post from Kat Graham, she said, ahead of the 24 release of the Michael Jackson film, I want to share that certain legal considerations affected a few scenes, including the ones I filmed with an incredible cast. Unfortunately, those moments are no longer part of the final cut, though the team worked hard to preserve as much of the story as possible. This could be the reason why the movie felt so fast-paced. It felt like a montage at times, like a compilation. We were just going from music video to song to making of to back to back to back, from song to song to song, especially when we got into a solo career, because a lot of in-between contextual scenes were cut. The Diana Ross scenes were cut, and as Kat Graham said, there were other scenes in addition to her scenes that were cut from the movie. So how many scenes were cut in exactly? Well, let's keep going here. Take a look at this shot. Jaafar Jackson looks fantastic. He looks so good here. There's certain scenes in this movie where Jaafar Jackson looks so much like Michael Jackson. My jaw dropped in the theater. My jaw was dropped watching this movie. Like, I couldn't believe how good he looked. The scenes where he picked up bubbles, this scene right here, there's a scene in the hospital where he looks so good. His weight, see, here's the thing. His weight fluctuated throughout the movie. You can tell when there were reshoots and when there were not reshoots. Every single performance of the movie, I'm assuming, was not a reshoot, because Antoine Fuqua said they filmed all the performances first. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was like about an hour and a half footage of straight performances, straight Jaafar Jackson performing Michael Jackson's music. And Bad was the first thing that they performed. And if you see the Bad performance, he has a little bit more weight to him, right? And then I think the second thing they filmed, if I remember correctly, was the Victory Tour. And you see Jaafar Jackson has a little bit of weight to him. But then there's certain scenes within this movie, like when Michael Jackson is picking up bubbles for the first time, he is a lot thinner. The Beat It sequence, he's more thin, you know? So I really, really, really hope that in the sequel, he will lose the weight like he did for certain scenes in the Michael biopic. Here, let me show you an example. This right here is one of my most favorite looks of Jaafar as Michael in the movie. You can clearly see he's thinner here than other scenes in the movie. Like, look at Thriller, for example. Here's some footage that we didn't see in the movie of Jaafar popping popcorn like Michael did in the music video. And you can clearly see the weight difference. The cheeks are fuller, right? And I also wonder why they went for a lighter skin tone in the Thriller section, because in real life, Michael wasn't that light yet at that point. But speaking of all these looks, take a look at this picture right here. They had so many different looks for Michael in this movie, for Jaafar Jackson playing Michael in this movie. And if you look closely, you see a little picture of Jaafar Jackson as Michael Jackson, as the Scarecrow in The Wiz. We were going to get footage of the making of The Wiz, Michael scenes, probably rehearsals, stuff of him portraying the Scarecrow in The Wiz. But again, why was that cut? Because all the scenes with Diana Ross were cut, and as we all know, Diana Ross played Dorothy in The Wiz, so that was cut. And I'll also pay close attention. Look at all the, we're going from Little Mike all the way up to, I can't even make out that year, but that's like Dangerous era, you know? So that's well into the 90s. And if you remember what I said, they filmed all the performances first. So we already have footage of some performances of Dangerous era Michael Jackson, some pictures of Dangerous era Michael Jackson. We'll get into that in a little bit. Before we move on, let's take a quick break from Michael Jackson and talk about his dad, Joseph Jackson. Right here, you have a picture of Joseph Jackson in his steel mill work outfit, which means we were going to be getting more context into Joe in this movie, which makes complete sense. The Joe in this movie was like the villain. It was Michael breaking free from under Joe's thumb. So getting a deeper dive into Joe Jackson, his motivations, his psychology, the reason why he was pushing his kids so hard. He didn't want them working in a steel mill. He wanted a better life for himself, his family, and his kids, right? So he was pushing them hard. Why? We probably would have seen that. We probably would have seen his work conditions, what he was doing, maybe him coming home tired from work, just to get a little bit more insight into Joe Jackson. I think that would have been really cool. Unfortunately, it didn't make the final cut. And I mean, as it is, the movie was moving at a blazing pace, right? So hopefully we'll get this footage in an extended edition. I'm really, really hoping we're going to get an extended edition or a director's cut or something. This movie deserves to have all of those deleted scenes added back in, and we can watch the full 3.5 hour cut the way it was supposed to be watched. Now, I brought up the Victory Tour a little while ago, and this footage you're seeing here is actually from the trailer. We did not get this in the final movie, though. This is Heartbreak Hotel, played during the Victory Tour, and it was cut from the movie, which is kind of crazy, because that means after they edited the film, they color graded it, they edited, they put the footage in the trailer, they were still chopping up the movie. There was footage in the trailers that we got that didn't make the movie. And this is not the only section, this is not the only footage from the trailer that was cut from the final film. We'll get into that because that's going to be in the sequel. So yeah, they cut this from the movie, and hopefully we'll see this in an extended cut. Hey guys, it's me from the future, because I just found even more footage. We were going to see Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones working in the studio creating music, especially Michael Jackson recording Beat It. We had that awesome sequence in the movie, but now imagine topping that off with a full-on recording session of Michael in the studio recording Beat It. That would have been awesome. Now, let's move away from the music for a little bit and let's talk about the spiritual life of Michael Jackson, because I feel they cut scenes out that would have been awesome to see. That's what I wanted to see. The movie focused so heavily on the music and they tried to fit in so many songs, which was cool because it felt like you're at a Michael Jackson concert, but I wanted to see more of his life, and it looks like they intended to show more of his life, but they cut out scenes. So let's take a look at them right now. Here we have Michael Jackson and Katherine Jackson going door to door as Jehovah's Witness, knocking on doors, spreading the message of Jehovah, along with his bodyguard, Bill. This would have been really cool to see because his faith had a significant part to play in his upbringing. Remember, they didn't celebrate birthdays, they didn't celebrate Christmas. And with scenes like this, you'd see how invested he was in his faith. You'd see the dynamic between Katherine and him in regards to their faith. And this whole sequence of them going door to door as Jehovah's Witness leads directly into the sequence that we saw in the movie. Because Michael Jackson here is wearing, Jaafar Jackson playing Michael, is wearing the exact same outfit that he wore when him and his mom were watching Charlie Chaplin on the TV. So that sequence in the movie would have followed right after this, Michael Jackson and his mom spending all day going door to door as Jehovah's Witness and then ending the day on the couch watching some Charlie Chaplin eating popcorn. All right, now we've got a couple more pictures and then we'll move into the sequel because I know you guys are waiting for that. I'm super excited for that stuff too. Right here, we have Toys R Us. They rebuilt Toys R Us to be in the movie, but unfortunately, we didn't get to see Toys R Us. That would have been super nostalgic. But we did see another toy store with, from what I remember, it was like a similar type of a font and everything. So it tried to recreate that nostalgia of going back to a Toys R Us or a toy store, and that was cool. And then our final picture before we move into the sequel, we have Michael Jackson driving a car with someone. I can't really make out who that is, but it seems like this is the Off the Wall era. But it's cool because we had a little scene in the movie with him talking to Bill about wanting to drive, right? And then now here he gets to drive. Now, this picture is interesting because not only was this scene cut, the scene of Michael Jackson driving, they were driving somewhere. Where was that place? Wherever that was, that scene was cut too, because I don't recall seeing this person, the female in the car in the movie. Is that supposed to be Kat Graham playing Diana Ross? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you're only getting a portion of the side of her face, so it's hard to tell. But I'm guessing this is them driving to Studio 54. If I had to guess, it seems like this is the Off the Wall era. But it just goes to show how much footage was cut from this movie. And I'm saying this again, but I really, really hope we get an extended edition of this movie with all of these additional footage added back in. That would be amazing. But now, with Michael Part 1 out of the way, let's dive in to the sequel. How many of you guys remember this picture? I'm sure a lot of you guys do. This is one of the first images, if not the first image, that we got of Jaafar Jackson as Michael Jackson for the Michael Jackson biopic. This is Michael Jackson. From the looks of it, from the looks of what he's wearing, it's Michael Jackson performing Man in the Mirror during the Dangerous tour, and he looks really good. The only thing here again, because remember, they filmed all the performances at the beginning, right? So he has that little bit of extra weight. Look at his cheeks. I'm nitpicking here, okay? I know I'm nitpicking, but if he lost a little bit of weight, it would look even better. So I'm really looking forward to this performance because Dangerous, the album Dangerous, is when I was introduced to Michael Jackson. And I'm really hoping Will You Be There will be in the movie because that's the song. That's the first Michael Jackson song that I heard. I was introduced to Michael Jackson through Free Willy. And I'm really hoping that's why Human Nature at the end of Michael, I think that's why that got me so much, because they used the audio track from the Wembley performance during the Bad tour, and his choreography was more in line with a Dangerous era Michael Jackson, where he stands, he like shifts his hip and he has his like palms out like that, and that type of choreography is what I'm familiar with from the Dangerous tour. So that hit the nostalgia hit really hard for me. But speaking of the Wembley tour, check this out. This is Jaafar Jackson as Michael Jackson in his Another Part of Me outfit. The outfit looks awesome, man. And I just wish, I know I said this a lot before, but I just wish the makeup was a little better. Even during the bad sequence in the Michael biopic, I wish the makeup was better. That had a lot to do with the weight. If he lost weight, it would have looked a lot better. But I know I know I'm a broken record. I said this so many times before. I wish the makeup was better. And then you guys have seen my review, and it blew me away. I was literally applauding the makeup job, right? Because there were certain scenes in the movie where he looked so much like Michael Jackson, and it was fantastic. But like in the bad sequence and this sequence, when they're really lightening his skin and there's more prosthetics on his face, I feel like it could be better, and I really do hope it's better because for the first movie, for Michael Part 1, they saved the best for the movie, you know? They didn't showcase a lot of the really good looking makeup that we saw in the movie. It wasn't in the trailer. So I'm really hoping that the final product, the movie, is going to look much better than the stuff we have. Because if you, maybe I can jump to it right now. Because let me show you this shot right here of Michael Jackson at Neverland Ranch. When I first saw this picture, I thought it was a Hispanic guy cosplaying as Michael Jackson touring Neverland Ranch from back in the day or something, you know. But this is Jaafar Jackson, and that's what I'm saying, man. I feel like, see, like, it's the cheeks. If he lost, it's the cheeks and the nose is a little bit, I don't know. I feel like it's also the eyes. Michael Jackson has a little bit bigger eyes. I mean, I'm not saying it's got to be perfect because he's not Michael Jackson, but put that aside. Look how far they filmed into the movie. We see Michael Jackson, 90s era Michael Jackson at Neverland Ranch. They literally recreated Neverland Ranch. Check this picture out. They recreated the entirety of Neverland Ranch. So not only are we just going to see Michael Jackson walking around at his house, we're going to be getting some shots of the whole theme park and everything at Neverland's Ranch. That's going to be awesome. Look at this picture. It looks so cool. Not only that, check this picture out here. There's a whole bunch of cop cars out in front of Neverland's Ranch. So we're getting some clues into the story here. Are we going to be seeing a cop raid, a police raid on Neverland Ranch? Because, as we know, the entire third act of the first cut of the movie was supposed to be about the allegations, and it was centered around the Chandler family. So, is this part of that story? I'm guessing it has to be part of that story. So, the question is, will they be able to use this footage? They might be able to repurpose it. Maybe they're going to have to probably talk about that, some sort of the allegations in the sequel, but it's not going to be centered around the Chandler family. But maybe they could use some footage and rework it to talk about the allegations just broadly and in general, instead of focusing specifically on a particular family. I'm not entirely sure the direction they're going to go with. So we may see this police raid in the sequel if they decide to go that route. If not, they might cut out this entire section completely and just focus on the music like they did the first part, Michael Part 1. Now, before we dive into the final picture and video, I want to share this with you guys. This is from entertainment journalist Matthew Belloni, and he's sharing details about the first draft of the script, which means this is what was what was initially intended to be in the movie. I don't know if they filmed this or not, if this was in the final cut or not, but according to Matthew, this is how Michael was initially supposed to start. The Michael script opens with Jackson staring out from his Neverland bedroom as the police arrive to strip search him, part of the 1993 investigation into statements about Jackson's anatomy made by Jordan Chandler, the 13-year-old boy whose molestation claim led to the first legal circus and an eventual $20 million settlement. This is the section of the movie that was cut out, and this is crazy that this is what they were going to start with. That's insane. I'm thankful that they didn't start this way. This is not how they should have. This is not how you set the tone for a Michael Jackson movie. You don't start with this. I honestly don't like this. I'm happy with the way they started the movie. Starting off with Bad at his high, and then going into his childhood instead of starting at his lowest point. I don't like this. You know, I don't like this. The movie that we got was a celebration of Michael Jackson's life. This is just leaning into the drama. This is not the tone you want to start the movie off with. The script then goes to great lengths to minimize and downplay the actual claims and eviscerate the Chandlers, including the infamous recorded phone call where Jordan's father says his real goal is to destroy his ex-wife and Jackson's career, and the well-being of his son is, quote, irrelevant to me. Now this has me thinking, because if you remember, Paris Jackson said she didn't support the movie after what? Reading the first draft, which would probably be this, right? She didn't like the direction that they went because they were trying to sugarcoat things. They were trying to paint her dad in a certain light. She said the script catered to a certain segment of Michael Jackson's fan base that still wanted to live in the fantasy. I don't know what she meant by that. I don't know what she meant by that, but could it be this? That see, like it says here, the script then goes to great lengths to minimize and downplay the actual claims. So was she upset that they were trying to paint her father in a better light in the movie? I'm not sure, because if you remember, Michael Jackson was acquitted of all of this stuff. None of this stuff actually happened. All the things that they were accusing him of didn't happen. So I mean, what do you want to see in the movie? I don't know, you know? Yeah, I'm happy. I honestly don't care to see any of this stuff in the movie. I'd much rather see the stuff that we got, like the making of the music videos, the making of the music, but then also more behind the scenes into his life, like him wanting to get into movies, and him, the business side of Michael Jackson and all of that. I don't care to get into all this drama. I really don't. But let's continue here. There's Bronca, Miles Teller, and Johnny Cochran discussing the claims as an extortion attempt. There's also a lengthy and pretty grueling scene of Jackson actually being strip searched and photographed totally naked while surrounded by cops and lawyers. Dang, I remember that. I remember seeing pictures of that back in the day. I don't need to see that, man. I mean, I understand people want to see that, and people, like, that's what critics were literally giving this movie bad ratings because it was missing this, which blows my mind because clearly the movie ends at bad. You're not going to have stuff like this in the movie that ends at bad. You're going to have it in the sequel. So if they do have this in the sequel, I guess the critics are going to be happy because for some reason they want to see Michael Jackson's name, you know, trampled upon. But I don't know why they want to constantly be reminded of that, but whatever. This assault, this scorching trauma, will shake him to the core and never leave him. But I mean, I get it. If you're telling a Michael Jackson story, this is a significant part to his story. Even though it's nothing to do with his music, it's a significant part of Michael Jackson's life. But then I could say there were so many significant parts of Michael Jackson's life, not his music, that was cut out of the original Michael biopic, you know? So if we're gonna get this, I want to get some other stuff. I want to get all that in between context that should have been in the movie. Hopefully they filmed it, and hopefully, I mean, we saw that they did film some stuff that was cut out. Hopefully we'll get that in an extended cut. I'm still hoping for that. The script describes Jackson as uniquely comfortable around kids. And at one point, Bronca says, it's not the kids I'm worried about, it's the parents. He's opening his door to tons of people we don't know, and there's a lot of greedy people around the world. Later, Michael laments to his lawyers, I tell the truth, and it doesn't matter. I've been around kids my whole life, but now they've turned it into something ugly. I mean, I guess this could be a good thing, because there are still people out there who believe Michael Jackson actually did this stuff. And this movie would show this entire situation from Michael Jackson's perspective, probably, and maybe those people will be able to see it in a different light. So if they're going to go ahead and do that, okay. But again, I'm not going to see a Michael Jackson movie because I want to see Michael Jackson strip searched and all of that stuff. You know, I don't care to see that. That's not why I'm a fan of Michael Jackson. I'm a fan of his career, his music, and all of that. So that's the stuff I would like to see. Hey, me from the future again. Remember how I said this movie was supposed to go post 1995 and cover all the allegations? You guys saw Neverland Ranch, you guys saw Michael Jackson in the 90s, the cop cars and all of that, right? What if I told you this movie was going to go not only into the 90s, but into the 2000s as well? Yeah, we were going to see Michael Jackson dangling blanket over the balcony, Michael Jackson pale-faced, all of that. This movie was supposed to cover a whole lot more than what we initially thought. And how do I know that? From the original CinemaCon footage that was not shown to the public. It was only shown to a select few group of people that attended CinemaCon. And right in front of me, I have the detailed description of that footage, and I'm going to read it to you right now. The footage covers all of the iconic eras from Jackson's career, starting with his humble beginnings in the Jackson 5 with the hit song ABC playing in the background. We then see a montage that goes from the Jackson 5 performing on television to Michael Jackson in his Thriller era. We see Michael's iconic white socks and black shoes as he's dancing while singing Bad. Fans will be excited to know Jaafar Jackson sounds just like his uncle, nailing all the vocal cadences and delivering dialogue. Again, props to Jaafar Jackson. His performance was fantastic. Now listen to this. Michael Jackson is then shown in the late stages of his career after one of his accidents with visible pale skin, long curly hair, a black fedora, face mask, and sunglasses getting flanked by security. He's walking towards the car while a crazy crowd of rabid fans and paparazzi scream to get a photo, with some people even jumping on his car to get a glimpse of him. Cut back to his youth when Michael's mom tells him as she's wiping a tear off his face, "You were never like anyone else." We then get a close-up of Michael's fingers snapping, performing Man in the Mirror to a massive concert crowd. We also get quick shots of young Michael signing Thriller records with his short curly hair and iconic red jacket. Then there's a glimpse of Michael with his face wrapped up in gauze on a stretcher being led into a hospital, assuming this is the big Pepsi commercial incident. It is. We saw that in the movie. Now listen to this. The trailer directly confirms that this biopic will address the controversy of Jackson's career. The next image is of Michael on a balcony, which could be the baby dangling incident. There's a quick shot of Michael sitting at a piano and taking a pill. We see quick glimpses of Neil Long, Coleman Domingo as Michael's parents in his youth. The trailer ends with a shot of Michael in his white shirt, black pants combo performing in front of hundreds of fans. Now, to add on top of this, there are other people who were there at CinemaCon who saw this footage and said the scene where he's sitting at the piano popping pills, it was his early 2000s look. And the original tagline to the film as shown at CinemaCon was "Beyond the music, beyond the legend, beyond the controversy, discovered the man," which to me sounds like we were going to get much more than the montages that we got in the movie. They were going to tell way more context, way more backstory, get into the controversy, which honestly I don't really care about, but we were going to get so much more of that in between, which we have seen in this video. We've seen that they have recorded that in between stuff. Now I only hope that we will get an extended cut, a director's cut of this movie so we can see all of that stuff. That would be fantastic. All right, here we are. Now, we have two videos. We have this one from the trailer, and then we have another clip that was recorded on the set. That's going to give you more context. When we first saw this, everybody immediately thought, okay, this is a performance of Man in the Mirror. It's got to be a performance of Man in the Mirror, probably from the Bad tour, because if you look at the outfit, he's got the white shirt, he's got the belt with the gold buckle. The only thing missing is the white stripe going down his pants. So that's got me thinking, and I'm going to need your help with this because our next clip is going to reveal even more clues. Is this a performance of Man in the Mirror during the Bad tour and they just forgot the white stripe on the pants? Because if you've seen the movie, you know that there's certain outfits in the movie that weren't 100%, I was about to say comic book accurate, but accurate to real life. I was watching a video from Michael Trapson. If you guys haven't seen him, he's another YouTuber who is a Michael Jackson impersonator, and he's a massive Michael Jackson fan. He actually tours with a tribute band doing tributes to the victory era of Michael Jackson, so he's super into the knowledge of the different outfits and the details of the outfits and which outfit he wore on which concert and every era and all of that stuff. And he was pointing out different details like that. And he pointed out inconsistencies in the costumes that Jaafar wore versus what Michael Jackson actually wore in real life. So could this be one of those instances where Michael Jackson here is performing performing Man in the Mirror in the Bad tour, they just forgot the white stripe down the pants? Or are we looking at a different performance? Now, here's our next clip, our final clip, and it's the same footage that we just saw, but the behind the scenes look. It's zoomed out. We're seeing somebody record from behind the audience. They're recording the making of this shot. And I'm not entirely sure if I should show you, put the audio for you guys to hear the actual audio or not because of copyright reasons, but we'll see how that goes. He's dancing to Rock With You. He's dancing to Rock With You, not Man in the Mirror. And if you look closely, look at the audience. You see that album cover that person's holding up? That's the History album cover. So either this is a history tour show or it's something history or post-history. Therefore, it can't be, unless they made a severe mistake, it can't be Michael Jackson performing Man in the Mirror during the Bad tour. If you guys got to help me out here. Where is this? Like, what's going on here? I don't recall Michael Jackson, based off what I've seen, I don't recall Michael Jackson performing this song with this outfit during this era, like a history tour. I don't remember that. I've looked and I haven't found anything. But I know there are a lot of Michael Jackson aficionados and people who know way more than I do out there. So if you're watching this, let us all know down below in the comment section, where is this from and what's going on here? All right, everyone, that's all the footage I could find that was cut from the Michael biopic and all the footage that was not used and that will be used for the sequel. So let me know all of your thoughts down below. What did you guys think about the footage that we saw today, all the pictures, all the videos? Are you guys excited for a potential extended cut of Michael? And how excited are you guys for a Michael Part 2? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.